Due to SpaceX, the venerable manufacturer Boeing is currently eating dust. The head of NASA finally admits that Starliner will always be superior to SpaceX. SpaceX once faced bankruptcy and was the underdog in the aerospace industry, but it has gone a long way since then, winning over even its fiercest critics. How did SpaceX outperform Boeing, though, and what kind of connection does the company have with NASA? Welcome back to another exciting video from WealthValue. Today's video is about game over. NASA declared Boeing Starliner useless, can't beat SpaceX. Before we start the video, please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Take a peek at the fierce competition. The commercial race for space started with two companies actively involved in the competition. Boeing was the first renowned aerospace company with experience in developing aircraft. It was a significant worldwide aviation player and key U.S. defense contractor for many years. The second startup was SpaceX, which had no notable background other than a young founder and a few early successes. Boeing was anticipated to rule the space sector. However, things went differently than planned. A litany of errors, setbacks, and delays, as well as stuck valves, software issues, unsuccessful test flights, and legal conflicts, hindered Boeing's spacecraft development. Boeing needed help stabilizing, while SpaceX was already moving toward the launch path. Suppose the year is 2022. In addition to launching more than 3,000 satellites using the Falcon 9 rocket, SpaceX has flown its sixth crew mission for NASA to the International Space Station using the Crew Dragon capsule. The aerospace industry now recognizes SpaceX as a leader. The company launched 46 additional Sterling satellites this year using the Falcon. The Boeing CST-100 Starliner has just finished its first flying demonstration in the interim. The timing for the project is 2.5 years behind. Due to SpaceX's early success and NASA's persistence with the firm, Bill Nelson, the current NASA administrator, has been more open to the idea of private space ventures throughout his time as a Florida congressman and later a senator. He led the charge against the Obama administration's proposal to work with for-profit businesses and fought against using U.S. commercial space firms for space flight. Former NASA second-in-command Lori Garver Nelson asserts that Elon Musk, founder of SpaceX, and the company are despised. She recalls Nelson telling her to get her son Elon in line as a born-again supporter of private space after he was not particularly thrilled with Musk's public assertion that he could help NASA. His preference for commercial space and the NASA Commercial Crew program has been clarified. He claims that the foundation for the commercial real estate business was laid by a series of legislation passed starting in the middle of the 1980s. Discussing it, he said, "The private space business is tremendously profitable. Just think about what SpaceX has already accomplished for him." Fixed contracts were provided to private space companies to encourage competition and give NASA alternative routes for space research. In its financial report for 2021, the space agency stated that recruiting commercial space enterprises would account for 80% of its spending. The Starship will be more powerful than NASA SLS in contrast to claims made by SpaceX that it will launch with 17 million pounds of thrust as opposed to SLS's 9.5 million. Nelson reaffirmed that he did not perceive it in that manner. Although his attempt to backtrack and diminish his comments regarding SpaceX and commercial space enterprises has drawn criticism, it is not wholly surprising, given their achievements, especially that of SpaceX. With SpaceX, NASA might have moved farther than it has today and had to rely repeatedly on Russia, which would have been uncomfortable. But SpaceX wasn't always. The company's first capital came from a donation from Elon Musk. Therefore, when it was founded in 2002, it needed more money for professional recruiting. By September 2008, every rocket attempt had failed horribly, almost bankrupting the company. Elon was able to secure enough funds for a fourth launch so that it would travel upward. The first NASA contract, worth $6.8 billion, to carry NASA personnel to the ISS was then given to the company and Boeing. In August, SpaceX was awarded a new $900 million contract to launch Crews 7, 8, and 9 to the ISS. NASA increased its cooperation by awarding a $1.4 billion contract for 5 more missions. SpaceX will get compensation for 14 fully operational astronaut missions totaling around $5 billion due to their agreement to extend their partnership through 2030. By May 2022, the company had a $127 billion market value, become, at last, a firm famous for its reusable rocket. Efficiency is also crucial for the goal of making humans a multiplanetary species. Since its Crew Dragon debut in 2020, SpaceX has sent more humans into orbit than any other space agency or private space company. It has outperformed the Artemis program, the Soyuz rocket from Russia, and all of China's manned launches combined. NASA discontinued the Space Shuttle program in 2011 for various reasons, including excessive cost, protracted turnaround time, and disastrous mishaps. It had to pay a steep price for the chance to fly only on Russian Soyuz aircraft with 3 seats. Through the Artemis mission, NASA hopes to independently restore U.S. presence on the Moon and ISS, repositioning the country as a leader in space exploration. The program's ultimate goal is to use lunar exploration as a springboard for future Mars missions. Fourth, time NASA astronaut Steve Swanson emphasized the importance of the Artemis, suggesting that the moon will be utilized as a test return because getting to Mars is challenging. Here, SpaceX comes into play. SpaceX and NASA have regularly worked together on several astronaut flights. Additionally, the organization selected SpaceX in April 2021 to construct a significant part of its Artemis mission and establish an American presence on the moon. SpaceX will build the first commercial human lander and launch 2 American astronauts to the moon's surface after securing the $2.9 billion contract. We are enthusiastic about NASA's collaboration with SpaceX to assist us to complete the Artemis mission and look forward to continuing our work toward landing astronauts on the moon to prepare for the next major leap toward Mars. HLS Program Manager Lisa Watson Morgan said, "The contract cost is 13% of the $25 billion that NASA would have spent on the spacecraft to create them. The envisioned Starship will debut when NASA Orion is in orbit, and 2 people will be transported to the Starship. While the Starship lowers the men to the moon's surface and returns them to Orion at the end of the mission, the Orion will remain in orbit. At that time, the Starship is not outfitted to make a return trip to Earth. Because only the Orion can return for the mission, SpaceX will closely collaborate with NASA on the lander designed to guarantee that the final product meets NASA's requirements and human space flight standards." In line with Nelson's claim, SpaceX is developing a spacecraft to land astronauts on the moon successfully. This year, the Artemis program was supposed to be officially launched by NASA with the Artemis 1 mission, which was hailed as a crucial historical turning point. It plans to launch its 322 feet SLS rocket for the first time to fulfill its aim of returning to the moon by 2025. This voyage will act as a stress test to show off the SLS and its capabilities. Systems are adequate to send humans to the moon and back in the coming years, although things didn't go according to plan. Several technical problems plagued the SLS test flight. The August rocket launch attempt was aborted because the engines malfunctioned. NASA Inspector General Paul Martin estimates that between 2012 and 2025, the program will cost the agency a total of $93 billion. The cost of one launch of Artemis will be $4.1 billion for the agency, while the company's current Falcon 9 launches cost $62 million. SpaceX's Starship rockets are projected to cost less than $10 million. With the management of 2/3 of its launches, research payloads, and contributions to technological advancements in the aerospace industry, NASA has gone from being an underdog to a leader in the previous 10 years. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.